Today we're going to be doing something a little different because this triggered me in a way that made me have to print out a couple of pages as evidence, as physical evidence, to show you because I was so annoyed by it and I'm a nerd. So if you're one of the people who normally watches my food review videos or you're looking for food review videos, this is going to be long and nerdy. The short of it, though, if you're just here because you want to know what's up with the with these changes to Hot Pockets, the long and short of it is they took out the sleeves. They changed the recipe very slightly and made it worse, in my opinion. And they're not crispy from the microwave anymore, and they expect you to use an air fryer or just not buy it, because if you want a actual crispy crust now, you have to cook it in an air fryer or an oven. The microwave, I guess, is not worthwhile anymore, even though everybody has one. So that's the long and short of it, but I'll get into a lot of detail now about what actually changed and why. So first of all, it's obvious, it should be obvious to anybody that the reason the sleeves are gone is not for the reasons that they write on the box. So my first image here is going to be the boxes themselves. I'd like to present evidence A right here. We have side by side. I took these pictures and composited them myself. I went to the store, took pictures of each separate box because they still had both boxes there, which was nice. Composited them through MS Paint, didn't do a great job, and printed them out on my printer. So that's where we're at. That's where my mind's at. But anyway, here is their excuse for where did the microwave sleeve go. And I quote, "After decades of Hot Pocket perfection," which perfection is capitalized, so which I really shouldn't be, because they're Hot Pockets. Hot Pockets are capitalized because it's a thing. Perfection is not a thing. I mean, whatever. After decades of our Hot Pocket perfection, we've had a breakthrough. We've put our expertise to work to make sure that every Hot Pocket bite is a delight for your taste buds. And guess what? Our Hot Pockets are now sleeve-free, making them even better for you and the environment. By eliminating the sleeve, we're not only reducing 3,300 tons of waste, quotation, that's enough sleeves to wrap around the earth more than 2 times. And if you ever see any of those kind of comparisons used ever outside of like an elementary school classroom, it's because they're trying to trick you. Any of that wraparound stuff is all BS. It's just numbers to make things sound worse than they are. But also making your Hot Pockets experience easier and better than ever. Keywords. Just pure deliciousness from the first bite to the last. All right. So I put some of my own highlights on here, as you can see. I not only composited these images, I also put some highlights. First off, I want to make fun of this. I don't know what this is. I guess this is their new mascot. I hate it. It's terrible. It doesn't even look really like a Hot Pocket. It looks like a loaf of bread skateboarding. So that sucks. So that's the why part right there. But I want to go over this statement because I think it's, for the most part, actually a great piece of copy. I like the person who wrote it, did a good job, except for the perfection part, at tricking people. But the point is that they wanted to save money. That's number one. It's shrinkflation, but going by a different name, or I don't know what you could call this, because they technically did shrinkflate, but the item is still the same weight overall because they added a little bit to the Hot Pockets to make up for the sleeve. So technically, I guess maybe you can't call it shrinkflation, but it is. Now, I'll get into the reasons why that is, but I want to go over this statement just a little bit more. We've put our expertise to work to make sure that every Hot Pocket bite is a delight for your taste buds, and guess what? See, now it's a leading sentence. This is the important part. They start out by talking about how they've perfected it and made it better. and then go straight into, and now they're sleeve free, setting you up for it to be a positive change when it's not. And then they go into the reason why, which is the environment, which it's not. If it was, then the price of a Hot Pocket would go down. That's the important part. If this was about the environment, they could cut those out, save money, and then pass those savings on to the consumers. That would make sense. Then we could all feel good about the environment, couldn't we? But that's not what happened. So they go into that. They do their wrap 2 times around the earth thing, which also makes no sense. And then they end it with just pure deliciousness from first bite to the last. But nothing in there is quantitative, if that makes sense. It's all opinionated. It's all from the view of our Hot Pockets are better now, but they don't actually say what they did. They don't say what changes they made. They just say the sleeves are gone and they're better now. They don't go over why, what, how. Now on the front of the box, point number 2, evidence B, or whatever you want to call it, is they put on here even now with more cheese. That's the difference in terms of these 2 packages. They're both called hickory ham and cheddar. They both say with reduced fat cheddar cheese and in a croissant crust. They both say 9 grams of protein made with real cheese, blah, blah, blah. But this new package says now with even more cheese on the bottom, implying subtly, I mean, you might not even notice. You might think, oh, the Hot Pockets took the sleeves away, whatever. You might not even notice that they reformulated them. But if you are one of those consumers who's at the level where you'll notice that there's no sleeve and you'll get mad about it, or not mad, just upset, annoyed, whatever, mildly annoyed, not like this, not crazy like me, you would just go, oh, they put more, they took the sleeves out for the environment and they put more cheese in. Great, win-win. That's what you would, that's the impression you would come away with. That's what they want you to think. Now we're going to go into the ingredients, and I want to start off by saying I'm not a nutritionalist. I don't really know anything about anything. I'm not an expert. What I do know is that the ingredients did change, the amounts did change, and I'm not really seeing much more cheese is the thing here. What I do see is more oil, more vegetable oil, which is funny. So here we have our page of ingredients. I'm going to try to center this in a way that makes sense. Right here, and if you don't know this about ingredients lists by law, the ingredients are listed in order of the amount that is in the item. So that's why the first ingredient is water and then enriched flour, because the majority of the item is the dough, and that's made of water and the flour. So as you go down, there's less and less. So the idea of more cheese would mean that cheese should, ideally, and in a world that makes sense, be higher on the list. Now, this is kind of hard to do, but this is I'm gonna have to do like a move like this. This is the new ingredients list right here. This is the old. You go down them, and the first change, i.e. the biggest change, this is the change that is actually most important, is they have vegetable oil right after cheddar cheese. They're all the same up until then. The old one had margarine, then followed that up with less than 2% of vegetable oil, which consisted of soybean oil and or canola oil. Now over here, we have vegetable oil right at the top, and then the margarine below it, which means they added more vegetable oil than they had margarine in the original recipe, and that's the vast majority of the weight difference from the sleeves. It's not cheese, it's vegetable oil. Importantly about this vegetable oil also is that it could be made of soybean and or palm oil and or fractionated palm oil, which is just cheaper than canola oil. So it's a cheaper oil on top of that. Then they put the margarine in after that. So that's the filler. That's 90% of the filler. That's my guesstimate. I'm gonna say 90% of the filler. I don't know, I'm not a food scientist, but it is absolutely the majority of the change is coming from the addition of cheap vegetable oil and not cheese. Who would have guessed? So we move on from here. There are a couple differences in terms of these enzymes and stuff, but I don't really know what that means. This one has tricalcium phosphate. This one does not. That's a difference. The old one had enzyme modified cheddar cheese solids. This one just has enzyme modified cheddar cheese. Now that's probably the improvement. That's why they can say more cheese, is because they went from enzyme modified cheddar cheese solids, which are made of milk culture, salt, and enzymes, to enzyme modified cheddar cheese, which is made of milk, cheese cultures, salt, and enzymes. Same thing, slightly different form, maybe a fraction of a percent more cheese technically, and we have even more cheese on the front of the box. That's the important thing. That's all that really matters. And now we go down. I don't know why I just said I'm acting like a weird carny when I'm reading this. But then we go down further. The old one, lactic acid blend. The new one, lactic acid. I don't really know if that means anything. And then we go down a little bit more, and there's dried onion, and then enzyme modified milk fat and enzyme modified non-fat milk on the old one. And they're basically, the non-fat milk is completely missing from the new recipe. They have enzyme modified milk, but not enzyme modified non-fat milk. And onion powder has moved a little bit. That's basically all of the changes, except for perhaps what would make most people kind of weirded out about this. Bioengineered ingredients, which I don't really care. Bioengineered ingredients, in my opinion, are a good thing. The problem with bioengineered ingredients is the corporate influence. There's plenty of reasons to have bioengineered ingredients. We need them, but the corporations take it too far. So now we have here on the on the old one, we have contains a bioengineered ingredients, but on the new one, we have contains bioengineered food ingredients. So something else has changed in terms of what ingredients they're using. There's more bioengineered products in this one. There are multiple as opposed to one. I don't know if that means there's 2 or 10. And you can't really tell. You'll never know. I don't know if that's information they're required to give to the FDA or whatever, or the USDA. I don't even know who covers Hot Pockets, if it's the FDA or the USDA, because the American system regarding food is completely fucked. But that's the long and short of it. And the actual health benefits are non-existent. And it turns out what they added was carbs in the form of the vegetable oil, because we have here the direct comparison that I composited myself of the nutrition charts. Now on the old one, the max was 280 and 560 for the calories, which I love the fact that they can get away with. That they can get away with having per sandwich and per container not add up to the same number because of the rules regarding under 5 calories, and it's the reason why gum with sugar in it can say it's sugar free, because there's not technically enough sugar in it to count. It's all BS. It's all trying to get around the rules. But the point is, 2 sandwiches now equal 10 more calories than they used to. Why is that? Probably because of the added vegetable oil. We go down the list. The first change we have here is total carbs. 38 grams in one, 39 grams in one equals 78 grams. So they added 1 gram of carbs, which I'm sure everybody who's eating this for protein, good source of protein, wants more carbs. That makes sense. And then we have even better, especially, in the modern day, more added sugars. So this product is not only more carbs, it's more added sugars, because they got betrayed by the fact that 1 still counts as 2 grams of sugar. It must be closer to 2.5 grams of sugar now, because it has to add up to 5. They couldn't get around it. They couldn't make it a 4 because their 2 grams is so close to 3 that they have to make it 5 for 2 of them, if that makes sense. So all they did was add sugar and carbs to a product that is already completely unhealthy and terrible for you, that I love, or I used to. That was a childhood staple that people like, a junk food item, something for children for the most part, or when you're an adult, it's something, you have every once in a while. It's a frozen Hot Pocket. We all know it's bad, but to make it even worse is next level. It's like to add even more carbs and sugar, and then not note that at all, but say you put more cheese in it when you really didn't, you just kind of technically changed a couple words and maybe added 0.1% more cheese, but really you added vegetable oil. That's my problem with Hot Pockets and a lot of companies in general, and one of the big reasons I started this channel in the first place. I started doing reviews because I don't want people to waste their money and to get scammed. And while I wouldn't necessarily say this is a scam, because scam is a strong word, it is actually probably worse than a scam, but you know, for legal reasons that aren't really going to matter, nobody's going to watch this, I guess it's not technically a scam. It's just shrinkflation by another name that is not made up yet, and it's happening all the time. It's not like Hot Pockets is the only company doing this. There's just plain old shrinkflation everywhere. This is just a way to do it uniquely because the product came with a sleeve that was designed, patented, marketed heavily to the consumer base as the thing that makes Hot Pockets special, the crisping sleeve. And they took that out purely to save some money, and they added some filler shit in to make it even more, or even less healthy for you than it was, which is just kind of a sad reality of this world. So I also wanted to touch on, based on that, the old package. I wanted to make sure that people understand, especially if anybody in the future watches this video and maybe didn't even have a Hot Pocket that came with crisper sleeve. They're like, what's a crisper sleeve? This thing was heavily pushed by Hot Pockets. It's super, super important to their product. So much so that they put it in the step, they have it in multiple pictures, and it says load it in here, and this, my printer's a piece of crap. But what it says is unwrap sandwich, load into crisping sleeve, place on plate, cook in the magical heating machine, aka the microwave, which is just dumb. And then they have a note here, do not use crisping sleeve in air fryer, which obviously I guess you're not supposed to. Maybe, well, I guess maybe that's not so obvious, that's fair. But that's just another excuse. The point is, it's heavily featured, and it's even right here on the bottom of their blurb, which they replaced with this shitty mascot instead of, you know, actual information on why it's the good stuff. It's what's on the inside that counts. We have options that are a good source of protein made with real cheese and a variety of delicious crusts baked daily. They took all that out because they have more bioengineered ingredients now. Maybe they can't do that. Instead, they just took the sleeve out. But importantly on the bottom, enjoy in an easy to hold sleeve. And that's what's missing from this entire conversation, besides the fact that the product is just unequivocally worse now. If you microwave one, it's soggy and crap. The crisper sleeve solved that problem because it was a real problem. That was a tactic of Hot Pockets. It's one of the things that made them popular, and now they're taking it away. And the problem with this is that it just is so blatantly fake. You know, the environmental excuse is just so blatantly a lie that I can't get past it, and I had to make this video because, you know, shrinkflation is happening. It happens a lot, but the problem and the reason why it's so noticeable now is not necessarily, you know, because it's happening more often. It's just we've reached a critical limit in terms of how much we can shrinkflate. We're reaching that area where you look at a product like the Taco Bell gelato, for instance, which isn't shrinkflated, but you get to a point where the product is so small that consumers just can't justify even buying it. You know what I'm saying? You shrink something so much to the point where the perception shifts, and then you embrace another tactic, which I also wanted to touch on. This is going to be my shrinkflation guide real quick, is they just introduce bigger sizes. If you haven't been down the candy aisle in a while, Reese's recently introduced super king size, which has 6 Reese's cups. I saw it at a gas station. I think it's 6. It might be 5. But the point is, they're doing that and making a super king size because the cups are so small now that a regular king size with 4 cups is not even close to the same satisfaction, and it's noticeable. It's noticed by people. They say, why is a regular Reese's with 2 cups cost more than $1, but it's so small? And then they say, oh, well, we have a super king size now. A lot of people will see the super king size and just go, oh, I guess I'll get this instead of the old king size I used to get, and it'll be more Reese's, when it's not. It's less. It's less. It's all just a trick. And the deceptive packaging, the new names, all that stuff is used in conjunction, together. It's all happening, and it sucks. And this is probably the most blatant one, in my opinion. But you could look at, the subreddit for Shrinkflation. You could look up any number of articles. You can't look up too many articles, because there are also plenty of articles talking about how shrinkflation is over-exaggerated and that blah, blah, blah. It's not really a problem. It is. Most of those articles are, they're shill articles. They're paid for. The point of the matter is that it is happening, and we should just stop buying things when this happens, which is the reason why I have these printed out right here, and I'm not eating a Hot Pocket and showing you the difference, because I didn't buy them, because I'm not going to buy them, because they're Hot Pockets. I can live without ever having another Hot Pocket my entire life. There's no problem with that. The problem with eggs, which are being artificially inflated right now, the reason why I have to go to the store and spend $5 for a dozen of eggs is because I'm being charged 3 times the price. It's not because of chicken bird flu. That's just an excuse they're using. The bird flu that they used as the last time egg prices rose killed, I believe, 6% of the bird population, yet the eggs went up to $10 a dozen from, $1.50. That kind of math just doesn't work out. The fact of the matter is, those companies made record profits, hundreds of millions of dollars, off of that egg scare, and they're doing it again right now, blatantly, because nobody really called them out on it last time. Only a few people did. For the most part, every single news outlet, every single story you watch, everything you see on your phone, everything you see on TikTok, whatever, for the most part, is just going to say, oh, bird flu is back, so egg prices are high again. You're going to see people complaining about egg prices again. But they're not going to be complaining about the right thing. They need to be complaining about corporate greed, overpricing, those kind of things, shrinkflation. Instead, they complain and think it's a bird flu that's doing it. It's not. It's just the companies lying to make money. And that's the case here. The Hot Pockets just didn't do a very good job. The egg companies do a good job. They have a great cover by using the avian flu. When you look at the numbers, of course, it doesn't make sense. But again, most people just see a news story that says, hey, avian flu is back, eggs are high. People get mad about it, but they don't get mad at the egg companies when they rightly should, because they're the ones who are doing this to us. It's not the avian flu. If it was, the price would not be right now $5 a dozen. It would be $3.50 maybe. I can understand a price increase. If my eggs went from $2 to $3.50, that would be okay. I would take that. But not when they go from $2 to $5, It's so blatant now because, it's just reached a critical point, in my opinion. So that's a little bit rambly. I'm going off on a tangent, but the point is, just stop buying things when this happens. That's the only way anything will ever change, is if you, one, just don't buy products that are clearly scamming you, and 2, you talk about it. That's part of the reason why I'm making this video. I know a lot of people aren't going to watch it, and probably very, very, very few will actually watch the whole video. I would guess I could count on one hand the amount of people that would watch this whole video and agree with me. But it's important to me, and I think it's important in general, to call these things out, to make it a national story, because no media outlet is ever going to do that. No big company is ever going to admit anything. The only way these things change is from consumer level. It has to come from us. We have to complain. I have to come on here and make this video and hope that maybe one person watching it also wants to make a video or also tells their friends about this shit, and then their friends don't buy any more Hot Pockets until like they see the numbers go down, until they see the bottom line go down. They're never going to change it. See, they made this change. Nobody really knows. They made this change like 3 months ago. That's why stores have both packages now. But I'm sure most people who will watch this video also have didn't know that the sleeve was gone in the first place, is my point. They haven't bought a Hot Pocket in a while. Maybe they're going to go to the store, buy a Hot Pocket, and find out in a couple months or a couple days or a couple weeks that there's no more sleeve, but they didn't know in the beginning. And it's not, an important issue in their life that the Hot Pocket doesn't have a sleeve. So they're not going to make a video like this. But I wish they, maybe would write a review, write an email, talk to their friends, say something at work, anything. It's just casual. I don't want people to actually spend their time on activism for food, against fast food inflation and stuff like that, because there are plenty of other issues that are more important than that. But to me, it is important, and I push it hard, and I'd like to see other people push back, because that's the only way it's going to change. You have to talk as well as vote with your wallet. Vote with your wallet is a true thing. Until, Hot Pockets numbers go down, they're not going to change. But there has to be a public groundswell as well. There has to be a backlash, a consumer backlash, combined with the financial incentive to actually get a company to change. None of these corporations, nobody making these kind of products, and everybody knows what I mean, are ever going to change in a positive direction on their own. Their whole entire existence is to make more money than the last quarter, to create value for shareholders who add nothing to the world, okay? That's the entire reason for Hot Pockets' existence. Nobody at Hot Pocket gives a shit about Hot Pockets, gives a shit about the environment or any of that crap, actually cares about the quality of Hot Pockets. Nobody there does. All they care about is making more money. That's the number one thing. And the only way you can actually get them to change is by fighting back, by not spending money, and by complaining about changes and shrinkflation and bullshit like this. So please do that if you feel like it. If you don't, then don't, because I know you got to live your life. Everybody has to live their life, and this is not a big issue. But, if you felt any spark from that, just spread the word. That's all. See you next time.